All right, let's dive in. We're about to pull back the curtain on a piece of tech you probably use every single day, maybe without even realizing it. We're talking about React. It's kind of like the invisible engine that powers some of the biggest and best apps on the web. You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling through your feed, you add something to your shopping cart, and it just happens right away. There's no waiting, no awkward page reloads. Well, that little bit of magic, that sense of speed, it's not magic at all. It's technology. And today we're going to see exactly how it works. So to really get what's going on, we got to start with the absolute basics. Let's nail down a clear, simple definition of what React even is. Okay, at its heart, React is a powerful, free toolkit that developers use to build the part of an app you actually see and interact with, what we call the user interface, or UI. Just think of it as a special set of tools made for one job, crafting everything you click, tap, and see on a screen, and making it feel incredibly fast. And this isn't some small-time tool either. For starters, it was created and is still maintained by Meta. Yep, the company behind Facebook. Plus, it's totally free and open source, which is a huge reason it's become one of the most popular libraries on the planet. Its real specialty? Building these things called single-page applications. Those are the apps that feel so smooth because they never seem to fully reload. Now, to really appreciate why React was such a huge deal, we need to hop in a time machine for a second. We have to look at the problem it was built to solve. What did the web feel like before React came along? Picture this. You're on a website, you click a like button, and the whole page goes white, then slowly reloads from scratch just to show that one tiny heart changed color. That was real life online. Every little interaction meant a full page refresh. It was slow, it was clunky, and honestly, it was a total pain for users and a nightmare for developers. So here was the big problem. The old way was just slow. It was bogged down by these huge, inefficient reloads for every tiny change. Something had to give. We needed a way to get from that frustratingly slow experience to the lightning-fast one we expect today. Let's see how React pulled it off. And this is where the revolution really kicks off. React didn't just make things a little bit better. It introduced a totally new, much smarter way to think about building the things we see on screen. It really all boils down to two incredibly clever ideas. You could say these two concepts are the secret sauce behind React's speed, and they completely changed the game for web developers everywhere. And here they are, components, and something called the virtual DOM. One is all about building things out of reusable pieces, and the other? Well, that's a brilliant trick for making updates happen at lightning speed. Let's break down how they actually work. So how do these two ideas work together to give us those super smooth experiences we love? All right, let's get into the mechanics of it. First up, components. The absolute best way to think about these is like digital Lego bricks. Seriously, a developer can build one small, self-contained piece of the interface, like a search bar, and then reuse that brick over and over anywhere it's needed. A product card on a shopping site, a button, a little user profile icon. Each one is its own component. But these aren't just dumb Legos. They're smart. They have their own internal memory, which developers call state. So for example, a button component can remember if you've clicked it, and they can also pass information to each other using something called props. It's like one Lego brick telling another, hey, your color needs to be blue, or a profile component getting told, your job is to show the name Jane Doe. It's how all these simple blocks work together to create a living, breathing system. And that brings us to React's other piece of magic, the virtual DOM. Okay, so when you click that like button, here's what happens. Instead of messing with the real screen right away, React makes a super fast copy of the screen in its memory. Then it compares that new copy to what's actually on the screen, and it finds the one single tiny difference, in this case, the number next to the like button. Then it performs a tiny, surgical update to only that one spot. No full reload, just one precise change. That is why it feels so instant. So that's the theory. But where does this stuff actually show up in the real world? Well, the answer is pretty much everywhere. Let's take a look at how this tech is powering the apps you're probably using every single day. I mean, the list of companies using React is basically a who's who of the internet. The Facebook and Instagram feeds you scroll for hours, built on React. That smooth, fast browsing interface on Netflix? Yep, that's React. Uber's live maps, Airbnb search filters, all powered by this technology. We're talking massive, complex apps that have to be fast, and they all trust React to get the job done. And it's not just for the giants either. React is the backbone for all sorts of things. the shopping cart on your favorite online store, the real-time updates you see in a chat app, complicated data dashboards, and even a lot of the new AI tools. They all use React's efficient component-based approach to feel fast and modern. At the end of the day, the genius of React is that it makes incredibly complex things feel simple. It gives developers the tools to build these huge, sophisticated applications that, from our side of the screen, just work. They feel effortless, fluid, and totally intuitive. So React's big idea was to take a massive problem, reloading an entire web page, and break it down into tiny, manageable pieces. Then it found the smartest, most efficient way to handle only what needed to be changed. And that leaves me with one final thought for you. If that kind of thinking totally changed the internet, what other big, complicated problems in our world could we solve by thinking the exact same way?